Good evening, everyone. This is the public information meeting for State Project 10-90, intersection improvements on Route 132 at Magnolia Hill Road in the town of Bethlehem. My name is Byung Kim. I work in the DOT's State Highway Design Unit, and I am the project engineer. Please join us after the presentation for a live question and answer session. Please reserve your questions till the end of the presentation. A recording of this presentation will be posted on YouTube after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translations options, will be available at that time. Non-English translation options are also available here in Zoom. This meeting will begin with an introduction of the design team who is working on this project. Then an overview of the meeting format will be provided along with details on how to submit your comments or concerns both during and after the meeting. Next, we will present the proposed project, including the purpose and need, the design plans, and rights-of-way required, and an overview of constructability and traffic management considerations. Then we will end with a live question and answer session here in Zoom. Now to introduce the design team. For State Highway Design, Scott Bushy is the principal engineer. Joseph Arsenal is the project manager. Again, my name is Byung Kim, the project engineer. Albert Yaldath is the project designer. And Zachary Warino is the rights-of-way coordinator. For those of you who would like to submit your questions or concerns, there are multiple ways to do so. After this presentation, there will be a live question and answer session. You can put your comments into the Zoom Q&A section and we will answer them. Otherwise, you can submit them via email at dotproject0010-0090 at ct.gov or leave a voicemail at 860-594-2020. Please reference Project 10-90 in your message. Questions submitted via email or voicemail will receive a reply within 1 week of submission. To find additional project information, please visit the project webpage at https://portal.ct.gov/dot Bethlehem 10-90. To use the Zoom Q&A chat box, select the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom window and type in your question or comment in the dialog box and click Enter. To view captions and subtitles in Zoom, go to the bottom of the Zoom window. Click the Show Captions button and navigate to Speaking Language and choose your preferred language. Closed captioning will also be available on the YouTube recording after tonight's presentation. Title VI states that no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. We would appreciate it if you filled out the optional post-meeting survey, which covers the accessibility and clarity of the presentation and can be found at https://portal.ct.gov/ct survey or by scanning the QR code on screen. This will also be provided at the end of the presentation. You can find more information on your civil rights at https://portal.ct.gov/dot/business/Office of Equity/Title VI page. A recording of this presentation will be posted on YouTube after the live event. This slide contains more information on Title VI, including where to get more information about the Connecticut DOT's Civil Rights Program and how to file a complaint. This information on the slide can be accessed by calling 860-594-2169 or by going to www.ct.gov/DOT. The project is located on Route 132 at the intersection with Magnolia Hill Road and Nomewag Road. I want to point out a couple of landmarks. To the west is the Bethlehem Elementary School and the post office. In 2007, a crash between a motorcycle and a truck towing a trailer occurred at the project location, resulting in a fatality. The biker was heading eastbound on Route 132, but due to substandard sightline, he saw the southbound truck too late and ended up hitting the trailer. The existing sightline and intersection sightline are substandard. The top right photo shows the existing berm blocking the driver heading on Route 132 southbound. The bottom right photo shows lack of sightline from Nomewag Road looking left to Route 132. Also, the geometry of the existing grass channelized island creates confusion to drivers, since Route 132 turns 90 degrees heading eastbound. The eastbound driver has to turn left to stay on Route 132. This driver would go straight to get onto Magnolia Hill Road, which is not a normal movement. The purpose of the project is to correct the deficient sight distance on Route 132. The top left photo shows the driver's view being blocked by the roadside embankment. It will also address the insufficient intersection sight distance from Nonewalk Road looking left onto Route 132, as shown on the bottom right photo. The project will also simplify the intersection geometry. The top right photo shows the overcomplicated channelized intersection.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Albert Yelda, and I'm the project designer, and I will go over the proposed changes. The proposed project includes making a cut into the embankment on the inside of the curve of Route 132, which will dramatically increase the sightline. A swale is proposed to be constructed in this new cut area to assist with drainage of the road that will outlet to a body of water found directly west of the project limits. The curve of Route 132 will be made slightly larger to accommodate the vehicle speeds. Magnolia Hill Road will be realigned to create a T intersection with Route 132, and Nonewag Road will be realigned to create a T intersection with Magnolia Hill Road. Sidewalk will be installed on the southern side of Route 132. This slide shows the sidewalk project that the town of Bethlehem has proposed in front of Bethlehem Elementary School. This sidewalk is anticipated to be constructed this upcoming spring to summer, and the sidewalk that we propose for Project 1090 will connect to this sidewalk. There will be alternating one-way traffic during construction from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Access to all driveways will be maintained. There will be pole relocations and a new pole to reconfigure the aerial lines in the intersection area. The green circles and lines represent the existing utility pole and overhead line locations, and the red circle and lines represent the proposed utility poles and overhead line locations. There are no underground utilities within the project limits. There are potential permits that will be needed for this project. Those permits include the Army Corps' permit, DEEP Inland Wetland General Permit, and Stormwater Discharge Permit. This plan shows the rights-of-way and acquisition impacts of this project. We will have right-of-way impacts, including one sliver acquisition, shown in the red shape, and two slope easements, which are shown in the orange shapes.
My name is Zachary Garino. and I'm a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights-of-Way. Our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights needed for transportation projects. As mentioned in the presentation, this project will require the acquisition of property rights, so I'd like to give a brief overview of our acquisition process. Before I begin, I'd like to mention that the specific impacts are still being finalized and may change as the design progresses, and that any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes, Sections 13A 73 and 13A 98E, as well as the Uniform Act. The right-of-way acquisition process begins once the design has progressed to a development milestone and all of the impacts have been determined. At this point, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. And on the screen here is an example of a property map that an owner might receive. Next, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights depicted on the property map, which will be used to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable amount of time, typically 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. When an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights to its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit and the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be drawn by the owner. It's important to note that the state only acquires property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the right-of-way acquisition process, I can answer them after the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Section 106 is about effect on historic properties. DOT conducted a field survey to identify historic properties. Based on the result of the survey, DOT anticipates no historic properties affected. I'll now finish this presentation by going over the project cost and schedule. The engineering is about $1 million, rights-of-way is about $50,000, and construction cost is about $2.9 million, for a grand total project cost of about $4 million. This project is funded 80% by the federal government and 20% by the state. The design is anticipated to be completed in May of 2025. Construction will begin in the fall of 2025 and end in fall of 2026. That concludes our presentation. At this time, we will be taking questions you may have. You can submit questions via the Zoom chat window, the project email, or you can leave a voicemail on the project phone line. You can also scan the QR code on the slide to fill out an optional post-meeting survey, which covers the accessibility and clarity of the presentation. I am going to hand over the Q&A session to Joe.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Arsenal. I am the project manager. And at this point, we are going to start the Q&A portion of tonight's presentation. So if you do have any questions for us, just go ahead and click that Q&A button. It should be located at the bottom of your screen. And that should pop up a window. You can enter your question into that window and submit it. And, we'll do our best to answer those questions as they come in. And for anyone who might be watching this on YouTube tonight or at a later time, If you'd like to submit any questions, your best option will be probably the project email, which we're showing up on the screen here, or you can call in to that project voicemail at 860-594-2020. Not seeing any questions yet. We'll give you some time to enter those questions. For anyone viewing this at a later time, if you're submitting questions, just please try to get those questions in within the next 2 weeks. So by the 25th, that'll give us an opportunity to discuss those comments or questions and see if we should incorporate any changes into the project. Okay, looks like we just got our first question in. It's saying speeding on 132 has been an issue. Any concerns that this design will increase the amount of speeding through the intersection? Yeah, do you have any thoughts on that you could share, maybe relating to the curvature, what we're doing out there?
Sorry, I'm having some technical issues on my end. Let me read the question. Speeding. Increase the amount of speeding through the. That's a really good question. That was also our concern, because anytime we increase the radius, there's going to be tendency to increase some speed. So we had to kind of look at the tangent section of the roadways and see what the roadway speeds are doing. So we use this 85th percentile. So what it means is, as far as speeds, 85% of the speeds of the traffic is going that speed or higher. And 85th percentile is, if you're heading northbound, is about 45 miles per hour. And if you're heading southbound, it's about 48 miles per hour. So we kind of use that as a guideline. And as you can imagine, they're already kind of doing higher speeds. And as far as the curve itself, we're actually designing it for 40 miles per hour. So, and it's because, it's like, obviously, as the traffic enters the curve, they're going to tend to slow down. I believe the existing is, I believe the existing curve is, the posted speeding limits are 40 going one direction and 35. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thanks, Neil. We did get a comment in from the first selectman saying that only the first slide was shown. I'm not sure if that's just an issue that you had, Steve, or if other people on the call had that same issue. If others had that same issue, maybe you could just let us know in the Q&A. If that was a problem, I'm confident that we will be able to get the whole presentation up on YouTube. Not seeing any other questions at the moment. We will give it a few more minutes here to see if anyone can in. just reiterate for anyone watching this at a later date, please get those comments and questions into our project email, which is DOT project 0010-0090 or call into our project voicemail at 860-594-2020. Okay, we just got one more question in. It's asking, why not make it a four-way stop? Jan, can you provide some insight on that question?
That's a great question. It was actually my first reaction. So usually our concept unit, they kind of develop these alternatives, and this is what came down. And again, my first thought was, why don't we just make it a four-way stop? So we had our traffic engineers office kind of review it and see why. So to make it a four-way stop, basically it has to come down to, it has to have, this intersection does not have enough volume. So by that, I mean, there's enough like traffic during the like a 24 hours. And also there aren't enough accidents. So they use those two criteria to determine whether an intersection can be a four-way stop or not. And the final conclusion was based on that. Low traffic volumes, low crashes, a number of crashes. Therefore, we just can't make it into a four-way stop. This is an excellent question too.
Yeah, thanks, Beyond. Yeah, we always try to look at all of our alternatives when we're analyzing any kind of intersection like this during our project development phase, and this just seems to be the most efficient option available. Thanks for the question. Just gonna give it a few more moments here to see if anyone has anything else. Okay, well, hearing no additional questions or comments, not seeing anything coming in, we are going to adjourn tonight's meeting. Again, this will be recorded and available on YouTube, so feel free to watch this at a later time and submit your questions through email or for the call in. Just like to thank everyone for participating tonight, and have a great evening. Thank you.